Hello, Adam Perry here with TrueDFS, and I am going to go over tonight's very large 10-game MLB slate. I guess it's not very large, but pretty big compared to some of the ones we get. And as you've noticed, I am here. Bobby Fi and Sheets are not available today. Sheets will be back tomorrow. Bobby Fi is going to be gone until Friday, so I am going to man the ship here. So I have big shoes to fill. So help me out by liking and subscribing and putting any questions you have in the chat. I will be here going over the slate. I have my lineups built. So I'm just gonna go kind of game to game and let you know who I'm getting to. And I'm gonna run a contest sim and do that shortly. We'll do it for DraftKings and for FanDuel. Is there a way? I gotta figure out a way for me to see the chat. I see the screen. I don't see the chat. Here we go. All right. So we got Sims running here. Boom. Ready to go. And we could take a look. Game. I'll try and do like the Bobby thing and the Sheets thing. Sheets, I play a little bit more like Sheets where I kind of trust the projections and I go, just by what they and the Sims say. Bobby adds a little more color. He's got his qualitative takes. I'll try and fill in, do a little bit of both, give you what I know about these players and teams. Now, one thing you'll notice is I'm just using the SaberSim projections. I am actually at the library and I cannot access TrueDFS right now. So normally we would use Sheets as projections. We would run those lineups and run the Sims and see who we get to. So let's go game by game. We'll start on DraftKings. Then we'll just do an overview of FanDuel. Set my 150 for the flagship. All right. So on the pitching side, I'm getting to 10% Dean Kramer. Okay, so that's something to note. I'm pretty okay with that. I mean, Cleveland has a 4.2 total. It's, one of the lowerish totals on the slate. This is a really spread out slate, so these guys are low owned, but I don't think ownership is going to matter that much. And as far as pitching goes, there just aren't a lot of standouts. I mean, the top pitcher on the slate is Aaron Nola, right? And then it's followed by Bobby Miller, which we have to wonder like what his pitch count is like. SaberSim has him averaging like 87 pitches. I don't know if that's the case. So here you have Kramer and Gavin Williams. I'm getting to more of the Dean Kramer at the lower price of 6,500. He doesn't look amazing against Cleveland, but on the other hand, who does look amazing on this slate? So I'm perfectly happy getting to 10% of Dean Kramer. With the bats, let's take a look. The stacks for Baltimore. I'm not really getting to Baltimore at all in 150. And not really getting to Cleveland. So really nothing from this game. Now that may change, right? Because I'll do some things where I play around with min uniques or I play around with my exposures. So I may get a little bit of this. I don't mind it that much. The park is okay. It's a pretty good hitter's park. I wouldn't mind getting to the bats, but as of now, they're just not something I'm getting to. As far as one-offs, I do have very minimal exposure to some of these guys. Carlos Santana can always pop a home run, so I'm getting there. And that's about it. One or two lineups of smattering of these guys. So yeah. Let's see what's up, Andy. Afternoon, everyone. Afternoon to you. AJ, could you please go over the 4-gamer on DK for the? Yeah, we could do that. Sure. I didn't really play it. I threw in one lotto ticket, and I didn't even make the main lotto. I got in the secondary one because I knew I was going to be doing the show. But yeah, we can go over it. We'll go over it quickly afterwards. I want to keep the things moving on this being an early look for today's slate. So let's see. So next we got Pittsburgh and Washington. On the pitching side, Mitchell Parker's in 4% of my lineups. Bailey Falter is in 0. I am pretty damn okay not having Bailey Falter in this slate. Mitchell Parker, we've seen put up some games. Good afternoon. Yeah, what's up, K9? We've seen Mitchell Parker put up some games. He's playing he's got a kind of a park upgrade in Pittsburgh. The Pirates are okay, but they're nothing I'm really afraid of. So 5% Parker is totally fine to me. On the stacks in this early going, I am getting to 5% Washington against Bailey Falter. I imagine they're going to be a popular and that the builder's just looking for leverage. But yeah, so Washington is there. I am not getting to any Pittsburgh in my initial run. Let's see what they look like as one-offs. I mean, you could always play anyone as a one-off. I am getting to a lot of Ahmed Rosario, batting fifth for Washington. I mean, 6%, well, a lot, 6%, 10 in my lineups. Okay, so not much of this. He's probably in the stacks with Washington. I had about, 5% Washington stacks, and here I have about 6% Rosario. So he's probably in some 2-mans or 3-mans that I got to. But yeah, not much on this game for me in the early going. We've yet to find where I am going to be over leveraged. Now, it may come in this game. Let's see. We've got Arizona and Miami. Yeah. Here I got a pretty good leverage to Brandon Pfaadt. I think SaberSim has him projected as like the second best pitcher on the slate. Again, it's like a weaker slate that's not saying much, but he is a good option. He does get Miami. Miami is, one of the weaker teams in the league. We've seen that they could put up some power sometimes. So, who knows if we'll get to some of the bats here, but, and maybe they could touch up Pfaadt a little bit, but Brandon Pfaadt, am I saying it wrong? But let me know. But yeah, I do think being over the field on Brandon Pfaadt is perfectly fine to me. Now on the hitting side of this game, you get 4% Arizona. I imagine they're going to be pretty popular as well. They've got a 4.8 total. It's one of the higher ones. Miami has Max Meyer pitching, who's been good, and he has shown good stuff. I was looking at his stuff plus metric, and he's got top 50 in there. So he's had some pretty nasty pitches. So I don't know. I do like Meyer, but Arizona is a great offense. They could definitely get to him, and if they get into that terrible Miami bullpen, you could be rocking and rolling. Now on the other side, against Pfaadt, I have exactly one Miami stack, at least 5-man stack. So not a whole lot of Miami today as far as one-offs go. Well, I guess this doesn't necessarily one-offs, but as far as individual hitting exposures go, I'm about even to everyone. I don't have a lot of the Miami, but I am getting them in either some smaller stacks probably, or as some one-offs, or of course in that one stack. I don't mind Xavier Edwards. He leads off. He could steal. He's got power. You could definitely get to him. You got Mervis pretty cheap at 3,200. Has been cranking some home runs. Jesus Sanchez always can. Now these guys all bat from the left. Well, Mervis and Sanchez bat from the left side of the plate. We've got Kyle Stowers from the left side of the plate. So there may be some pinch hit risk with them, but I don't think so. So totally okay with what I got there. Let's get to Seattle and Cincinnati. We've got Bryce Miller. We've got Nick Martinez. And we have a pretty healthy dose of Nick Martinez against Seattle. I mean, that's a bit scary in this park. But now we have seen not that many runs scored in Cincinnati, although that has been due to the Reds' offense. So we'll see if we happen to get to some of those bats in our stacks. I mean, the Reds have just been pathetic on offense, haven't they? So, Bryce Miller, good pitcher, but boy, it is the park to hit home runs. It's the best park on this slate. I don't know. I wouldn't mind getting to some of it. Let's see. In our stacks, not a whole lot. We only have 2 5-mans of Cincinnati. We get into any of the Seattle. Not a whole lot. 2.6, so only a little less than 3% of our portfolio in on this game. Of course, we did see we are in on Miller pitching, on Martinez pitching. I mean, the price is right. He has been good. His stuff is good. I keep saying I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. I'm not making a lot of changes here. I'm okay with this sort of lineup set so far. So let's get to the next game. I do have one thing I want to say about a game coming up, but we've got Nola and Ray. They're projected to be two of the highest owned pitchers on the slate. That's not saying a whole lot, but it is saying that at 22%, we are fading Robbie Ray. We're only getting to him in about 5% of the lineups. We're a bit over the field on Aaron Nola. I'm kind of okay with any part of this game. It's a good home run hitter's park. We need home runs in DFS. Now, these are two of the best pitchers, but they do tend to give up some home runs. I think Nola's the top pitcher on the slate. Ray's sitting right in there, but Ray, these guys give up home runs. It's a park that could do it. So we'll see if we get to any of the bats. I would be okay with that. In my 5-mans, getting a healthy dose of Philly. I think the ownership's going to be lower with Ray's ownership being higher. So you get a bit of leverage there. And I got on 15% of them. I'm pretty cool with it. Now, are we getting to any San Fran stacking against Nola? Yeah. He's coming in as the highest projected pitcher, 20% ownership. And Saber Sim is saying, get the leverage. It's a large field. You're trying to beat 11,000 people. Here you have it. So, famous words. I'm okay with it. I'm here for it, right? We're playing the long game. We're trying to get leverage. We're trying to beat 11,000 people. I'm gonna have that San Fran and Philly on today's slate. At least if it were right now, I tend to, like I said in the beginning, I tend to trust the Sims. Now I do have, though, sort of taken this next game. This is Kansas City versus New York. And you've got Clark Schmidt making his debut. We've only got 4%. So, first take, I'm going to say give me no Clark Schmidt. You have his pitch count and an average of 84, which is, probably 10 pitches lower than anyone else on the slate, except for Bobby Miller and the Dodgers. His upside is not great. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to play him. Who knows what his pitches are going to be like? He's certainly going to be somewhat limited. Good afternoon, Scott. What's up? Hey, you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget, if you're watching this and you kind of think, wow, that's pretty cool. Look at how he's running simulations. He's getting all these lineups in the optimizer. Check out TrueDFS.com and check out, you could get started on the core package for a price that's like only $20 more than SaberSim itself. But then you also get Sheets' projections. You get Goldie's projections. You get access to the pay dirt model that we've been using for DFS and we've been using for prop betting. You get the premium Discord, and you just get constant insights in there all day. So there's a lot to like, and the price is right. It's like $20 more than it would cost you just to get on to get these a la carte. So to get any one of these products. So highly recommend it. Now back to that. So I'm just gonna say sorry. I don't see any reason to play Clark Schmidt. He's no more upside than anyone else in this slate. He already has less upside than anyone else on this slate. The pitchers are all clumped together. I really don't see a reason for it. Now, on the other hand, make this change, see what it changes. On the other hand, I'm getting to 5% Bubic. Now, Bubic is interesting. He's a good pitcher. His price is going up. And he has a lot of upside. And I think here, the one thing the projections don't take into account, so I heard Ship My Money talked about this in his show yesterday. Kansas City's a great hitters park, but it's not a great strikeouts park, right? And it's not a great home runs park either. So, that says things about the offenses and if they get upgrades and this and that. But what it also says is the pitchers get an upgrade going on the road in strikeouts, right? So Bubic is a lefty. He may limit some of that lefty power on the Yankees going to the short porch. He's also got more strikeout upside than he does in most of his games. So, I'm perfectly okay bumping Bubic here. I'm not going to do it now, but I'm probably going to say like if I 5%, give me like 10% Bubich. Just give me a little bit more because I think he's getting an upgrade here that projections just have a tough time accounting for when they run play-by-play sims and with the assumptions that they put into them. So that's my hot take on Kansas City, New York. Now, as for the stacks, in 5-man stacks, I am not getting to any Yankees, and I'm only getting to a few Kansas City stacks. Now, I'm okay with that, and I might get even less Yankees if I boost Bubich. So I'm okay with that. Now, Kansas City is an interesting one, as he talked about yesterday as well. You don't get a park upgrade in terms of offense because Kansas City is a very good offensive park, but you do get a park upgrade in terms of home runs because Yankee Stadium, while it is not the greatest hitters park, it is strong for home runs, and that's what we need in DFS. So it's something to consider with Kansas City here. I'm not getting into a lot. I'm going to keep that how it is, but if I get to more Kansas City later, I am not going to complain. So let's go now. Boston and Tampa. Normally Boston gets a park downgrade when they leave Fenway, and they kind of do here, but they're playing in a minor league stadium. So we're seeing the totals be pretty high in Tampa Bay. We'll see if I'm getting any of this pitching. I assume it'd be contrarian. Yeah, I mean, look at that. 18% Littell. Boy, I don't know. I'm inclined to trust the Sims, but that's one that if I got to any less, I'd be okay with it. He is a good real life pitcher, but he is not a strikeout pitcher, which in DFS, that definitely limits your upside. So he may be hovering closer to this average projection here, which is not what we're going for. We're going for upside to win this big GPP. So, if I end up with less Littell later, I'd take it. I'm not going to bump him down in this early going. I am getting to a little bit of Newcomb. I assume that's just because of the price. He is scary here in Tampa Bay. Although one thing I will say is Boston has a pretty strong organization. They're doing a good job turning pitchers around, and maybe they see something in Newcomb that they're getting out of him. We're seeing them turn around Walker Buehler right now. They're getting something out of Richard Fitz. So, maybe we bet on the organization there. Now, as far as stacks go, are we getting to any? This is a pretty high total game. We're getting a few Tampas. We're getting some Boston. So not a whole lot. We're going to get to the stacks. We're getting to a whole lot too later, as you can see up there. So, all right, next game. I got to go a little bit faster. A's, White Sox. If this game was popular yesterday, especially with the A's, I'm on stacks, so we're not getting to any of these teams. I am very happy with that as a Chicagoan because not only am I a Cubs fan, but I understand how deeply horrible the White Sox are. And maybe there's a little bias and anything can happen in baseball, but things are rough. So one guy we are getting to is 20% Bido. He's owned at 18%. I may like to be above the field on that. Going against the White Sox, Bido is a pretty solid pitcher. I'm surprised he's only owned at 18% at 7,200, but SaberSim is saying play like Nick Martinez at 7K. So we'll see. I might boost Bido a little bit later. I'm getting to 3% Jonathan Cannon. Now, here's where we had some exposure, at least on offense. We are not getting to much of the Soriano. Soriano coming in at 8,800 doesn't project that well going against a strong Texas team. Now, Soriano, we've seen a lot of improvement out of him. He's added some pitches. He's got a solid 4-pitch mix now. He's looking good. He's looking a lot better in like his stuff plus metrics. So I do kind of like Soriano in some situations, but I don't know that on a slate like this and a matchup like this that I want to play much of him at 8,800. So I'm pretty happy that I'm not getting to a whole lot of that. Now, what we were getting to in the stacks, which we saw, is a pretty good, it's our highest owned stack is the Angels. We've seen the Angels hit home runs, right? So it's not like just that they're scoring, it's that they're scoring by hitting home runs. They get a game against Patrick Corbin where it's a great opportunity to do that. The weather and Texas, The roof could be closed. It could be open. If it's open, even better. I'm into this Angels stacking that I'm getting to. For Texas, we're just getting a light smattering against Soriano. They have a pretty good total, but apparently the leverage and the pricing just isn't right, that we don't have a whole lot given to us from Saberson. Now, last game, and there is something I want to say about this one. Dodgers in Colorado. We are getting to some Colorado. That's scary, right? I mean, this is the weakest team. So the question is, do I want to do it? And if so, how much do I want to do it? I guess one of the reasons to think about keeping this Colorado is we get to stack against a kind of an unknown Bobby Miller making his debut, and his pitch count could be limited. And then you get into the Dodgers pen, which is good, but if you really get to him and you get into some of those weaker relievers, it's still not as strong at the bottom. Colorado, the price is going to be right. It's going to allow you to get in more expensive guys elsewhere. I'm probably going to keep this now. I'm a little afraid of it. And I know anything can happen in baseball, but this is a 10-game slate. So there's definitely some question if you want to be so over-leveraged on Colorado. They only come up in 4% of my 5,000 lineups, but they come in 15% of my top 150. So it's a decision point on that leverage. Now, I am getting to a lot of Dodgers. No complaints there. Best team in baseball, and it's probably not even close. They're expensive, but there's plenty of cheap pitching on this slate. I will take it. Now, as far as the pitching goes, we're getting none of Marquez. We are getting 18% Bobby Miller. I think that might come out down throughout the day. He's getting projected for an average pitch count of 87 pitches. Now, we've seen the Dodgers have short leashes with their pitchers, in part because their bullpen is so strong and because their organization is so deep that they really can give these guys a shorter leash and rest them. So I don't expect Bobby Miller to get 87 pitches. I could be wrong, but we'll see. And we'll see if that number comes down throughout the day. If it does, this projection of 17-3 is going to come down. And so is this 18% exposure and probably this 26% ownership too, because this is not a hot take. And I imagine the industry is thinking this. So we'll see later in the day where we're getting. But anyway, there is a look at everything I would be doing on DraftKings if things started now. Let's take a look at FanDuel and just see where I'm getting. All right, FanDuel. Got the Sims running here. Right. Whoop, cancel, no. Keep running. It's a little slow here, but I'm running a lot of things on my computer. All right. So for the flagship on FanDuel, where am I getting? Sims, sort it by ROI. Sort this by exposure. People please ask 20 lineups. We're playing 50. Pitching. So we've got 10 different pitchers. Let's see how spread out we are. 31% Nola, 16% Bobby Miller. We already talked about that one. Here we're getting some Robbie Ray exposure. A little more Martinez, some Fott. I mean, I'm down for this. Although the one thing I'm a little worried about, I mean, you have to think about your portfolios as one thing if you're playing on DraftKings and FanDuel. So, we've got a lot of Nola on DraftKings. So there may be some question if we want to, get to some other spots on FanDuel, maybe some of the Ray and so on. But as we see, the ownership's pretty spread out. 31% is not too much. So could think about that. This Bobby Miller exposure might go somewhere else. If it doesn't later, I may force that. On the stacking side, San Francisco is our highest owned stack. That's another one you have to think, well, if we're playing a lot of them on DraftKings and we're playing a lot on FanDuel, how much leverage do we want to San Francisco on this night, right? Because while it builds you a portfolio for each site, your money is all one portfolio. So that is something to think about. Then we get to the Washington, which we didn't get to in DraftKings, and the Tampa. I'm pretty down for that. A little Miami. So there is the answer to your questions. Who are playing on FanDuel? People ask. There is those are the teams I'm getting to for tonight's slate. Someone has to do the early slate, and I would be much obliged. I ran one. I only got into the little lotto, and just I'm working now and didn't have time to really play it. But I was like, well, DGen's got a DGen, so this was my lineup. How was it ranked 703? Okay, I don't know what happened. Was there an update? Let's see. Let's rerun the contest sims. Let's see who I'm getting to in 150. You know, this is not perfect because I have it set up for this little second chance lotto. But AJ, here is your answer. Strider only 56%. I would have expected higher. Stacks, a lot of Atlanta, Detroit, the Mets. You know, I'm pretty happy with it. If I was playing 150, you know, sufficiently spread out. Is there anyone else? I mean, the St. Louis and Minnesota have good weather, according to Roth. But we're not getting to much of that, maybe because the field is. Toronto against Strider. So we're not doing tons of Strider. We're not doing the Strider leverage thing either. Not getting Houston in that good weather. Definitely getting some Mets here. Milwaukee in a decent hitter's park a little bit. So AJ, if we go to Scott, what's up? There must have been. I like Atlanta a good bit on the year. Yeah, I like Atlanta too. You know, Bassett has not graded as well in the underlying metrics as he's performed. And Atlanta has performed really poorly. But they're a better team than that. And, you know, especially when they got Strider back now. They got Acuna, he's a pitcher, but then we get Acuna in the lineup. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of down for Atlanta too, Scott. So AJ, there you have it. That's who I would be getting to the most on today's early slate if I was running for a full 150. Unfortunately, the only thing running is me. I have got to run and get some other work done. So with that, I will see you guys later today. And if you're playing the early slate, good luck. Otherwise, happy building. And I'm out.